You are starting this one.
Okay. For today, co-host for today, along with my good friend. Introduce yourself.
Name's Ryan. I'm also here on stage.
Yep.
It's a beautiful theater.
Yeah, the lights are really bright and hot.
And I looked right at him. And now.
Say striking next time.
Oh God! I didn't turn it on. I don't know what you're talking about. They've been on this whole time. You told me to point. No,
I'm talking to that guy up there.
Oh, I see. Hey!
Don't point that right in my eyes.
Ow! I'm gonna make sure you get fired. God, that guy sucks.
He's gonna drop a light on us.
Yeah. I don't trust him.
Fuck that guy.
You know what I do trust?
Lars von Trier or Nicole Kidman.
Stellan Skarsgård.
I just mean AMC.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The greatest Nicole Kidman double feature is Dogville and the AMC intro.
That would hurt a little. Sure. It's a little whiplash.
Yeah. In all seriousness.
Here we are.
Yeah. In Dogville.
Roof. No.
Who let the Dogvilles out?
Not that kind of dog.
The dog.
There is a dog in the movie, but
the dog in him. The dog in the movie.
Yeah. So you know what? What's the movie? What are we dealing with here?
Sorry, there's like a burp manifesting.
That's classic Kevin.
So yes, we have here Mr. Lars von Trier. Yeah, pretty controversial director, I'd say. Just a tad. And in Lars von Trier fashion, we get quite a scathing portrayal of America.
Yes. He's German or is he Austrian? Danish.
Yeah.
Got it.
According to the wiki. Yeah. What is your relationship with Lars?
Well, the first... Lars von Trier was also one of the first directors I saw with the film Melancholia.
Nice.
I saw that kind of pretty soon after it came out. And that was another one of those, like, quote-unquote art house films.
Yep.
That kind of was like, whoa, a movie can do this?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since way back then, so I don't know how well it holds up or how I'd really feel about it now.
With our upcoming guest, Kirsten Dunst.
Yes, exactly. Yes, bringing it back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to confuse the audience at all by bringing that up constantly. We can get an AI Kirsten Dunst in here.
Or a voice actor who sounds like Kirsten Dunst.
Pretend you didn't hear this, folks. We're actually going to have the real Kirsten Dunst on. So Melancholia.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Nymphomaniac.
Nice.
Films.
The sequel.
Yeah. And so those ones obviously were quite a wild ride.
Sure.
Especially in my early days and like kind of better understanding movies. And then I think the only other one that I've seen and then I watched Antichrist in the last year, which was
you've seen that whole trilogy.
Well, is that a trilogy?
Yeah, it's like a loose trilogy.
Loose trilogy?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that they all star that actress. I forget what her name is, but there's not playing the same character, but a consistent through line.
Character, yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I don't remember Melancholia, but I imagine there's probably some weird sexual thing going on in Melancholia too.
Probably.
Because that also seems like that's Lars von Trier's bag.
Yeah.
Sex is weird and strange.
And awkward and fucked.
Yeah. And so you get that with Dogville, and that's fun. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. What about you? What's your relationship to Lars?
I don't have one.
Oh! Like you haven't seen anything else of his?
I don't think I've seen any of his movies.
Whoa.
I know all about his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't... If there was one I'd be interested, it'd probably be Melancholia.
Yeah.
But Dogville, I'm very aware of, like, in terms of concept, like the theater stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just never watched any of it. I know Dogma.
Yeah.
I can talk about that, but I don't know, much about him. I haven't seen any of his stuff. I've never been interested in the weird shit. I think for me, Gaspar Noé is my like crazy director that I kind of found.
Yeah.
I never really got into the Lars von Trier. Yeah. Surprisingly, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I just saw those movies I just mentioned are called the Depression Trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Sorry.
No. That feels right.
It feels right.
That feels right.
I didn't want to say it.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Charlotte Gainsbourg is the
yes.
they all star her.
Isn't she in that worst person in the world?
I do not know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So you haven't.
I have no relationship.
No relationship to Lars. So
yeah.
I will say I watched this.
She's not, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say I was definitely like with this format, and for those of you that don't know Dogville, there is barely any
movie.
Yeah, barely any set. It's all like intentional.
Yeah.
What is there, but it's basically barren, and the buildings are drawn out in like paint on the floor, like almost like looking at it like an architectural plan of a city or a town, a tiny town.
A ville.
And so basically when one character's doing something in some place, in the background you can clearly see what other people are doing in other places.
Right.
That's like the most interesting use of this kind of storytelling element, which is cool. And it feels a lot like watching a stage play when there's a lot of things you can move your eye to kind of see like, oh, what's that going on back there? It kind of gives you the ability to do that a bit. I know at first I was like...
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, at first I was like... what the fuck is this? And for a while, like the style kind of got in the way a little bit. I was like, this is so weird.
Not literally though.
What do you mean literally? Oh, like how there's nothing there? Sure.
Just joking around, sorry.
No jokes.
What's jokes?
We got a no joke policy here
jokes.
on Wind, Reel, and Print.
Yeah, leave them at the door.
Leave them at the... what the fuck? What are we thinking? No funnies. But yeah, so I was definitely like, it took me maybe 30 minutes to really be like, okay, now I start to get it.
Drinking
and
the juice.
And because also we have like it's heavily narrated as well. I would say that's a majority of what is said is narration.
Yeah. I had to turn on subtitles.
Yeah. And so that's also a really interesting aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
Also really interesting uses of special effects too. Like they chose some...
What do you mean?
Like they did a lot of top-down shots. And you could tell like they were like shot stitched together, kind of like digitally altered to make things work because she's like going around and stuff. That was a really interesting... I felt like I was seeing things I've just never seen.
Sure. Before. In terms of form.
Yeah, in terms of form. And I think this movie screams form. Like, look at this form that like,
Sure, so,
to talk about that a little bit.
Very formally fronted, yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen a movie like this before.
Yeah.
And for that alone,
it's
pretty neat. Yeah. I know there's a sequel to Dogville that I have not seen.
Manderley.
So I'm interested now after watching this to see.
And the American South deals with slavery.
And with a character from Dogville that escaped, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Who is not in this movie, but I guess is somehow connected.
She plays the Nicole Kidman character.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Okay. So yeah, is there anything else you kind of want to say on the form at all?
Editing.
Oh, the editing, yeah.
Was fucking awesome.
Yeah. It definitely felt like they had like a ton of... It felt like a movie also kind of made in the edit.
Sure.
Because it just felt like they had so much coverage.
Sure.
Because there is just like so much narration that you're kind of like... Feels like so many things are being stretched out all the time to make room for that.
Well, I feel like because you're taking out production design... It kind of allows you to be more experimental and more accentuating with other stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt like choosing to be unprecious with the editing was a very interesting choice to me in this kind of landscape because it frees you, right? because you're letting go of certain other rigid aesthetics,
Yep.
you can allow the editing to be more free and not be precious with continuity. Like, for
Yeah.
example, like head on the lap and then immediately cut to her just talking to him, but with like the sound being congruent. And, you know, there's just like certain things about the editing was very interesting and like, like tasteful, like adding a little bit of flavor. And even the acting, I felt like leaned into the theatricality, like the theater acting that you would get, that's like bigger and like more storytelling with the words, you know what I mean? Like, it's not subtle, it's not like film acting, it was very different, I guess, just like in other ways, you know, without production design needing to like tell the whole story, you know, kind of literally the opposite of Waterworld.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the actor's name is that plays the dad. Oh, Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah, Philip Baker
obviously,
Hall. Another great performance on theater.
Yes, another theater thing. We're thinking of Secret Honor as being a really good example of just the acting chops.
Yep.
Gone nutty.
Yep.
And this was, you can just tell like he's made for this
kind of setting.
sort of thing.
I wish he was given more of a kind of voice, but yeah. I mean, this whole cast is like, god damn. Like,
they got
Lauren Bacall. Like, Jesus. Yeah,
they got some really
Chloe
really good ones.
Savini, Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, Stellan Skarsgård. Oh god, woo! He's good at playing piece of shit. Very good at it.
Yeah.
And obviously Paul Bettany being kind of like the lead, playing to Nicole Kidman. I guess he's more supporting, but that's very interesting as well. Man, does he play a good slime ball? Yeah. Like, just so gross.
Kind of reminded me of, what's his name? Fuck.
Cusco.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
What's the guy in Squid and the Whale?
Oh, gosh, I do not know. I've not seen that.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff
Daniels.
Oh, okay.
God damn it. Jeff Daniels.
Kind
of reminded me of Jeff Daniels.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's what you know him for. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
very theater and like preacher, like, you know, in terms of like the performance and characterization. I feel like sleazeball, slimeball, whatever you said. Great description for him. Just very infuriating, like very nice, but like at the same, by the end you're like wanting to punch him in the face.
And I mean, I think that's kind of the story of the movie, right? Is like, you think it's a nice American town,
right?
It has like its little things at first, and you think it's going to go okay. Like she begins to trust all of them because basically Nicole Kidman is hiding out there because she's on the run,
right?
And the people in this small mountain town in Colorado, I think is where it is, don't want her, but she has to prove herself. Oh, really?
No.
Okay. And
it's in Dogville.
I mean, I don't know. I also have never seen South Park, so I'm not totally sure.
Oh, South Park is in Colorado.
Yeah. I thought maybe it was nearby. But is Dogville even a real place? I don't even know.
I mean, yes. If you believe in it.
If you believe in magic.
If you believe in Dogville.
But now you made me lose track, and we're riding the wave. So I'm tossing it over to you, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great portrait of America. I think that was also what, like, into, say, Brecht stuff. Like, it's kind of being an allegory for certain ideologies in America. I think it's targeting a lot of different things, and you can have, like, different readings on it. But yeah, I found it to be a take on America.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely a perspective on, like, just like certain American values, and like how it's applied in terms of like politics and how we treat each other, like being neighborly and like,
Yeah.
I think you can relate it to like Fruitvale Station too, in terms like what you said of like the happy ending is what you do afterwards. You know what I mean? Like I feel like so much of this film is like how you process this information and apply it to your life, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this movie is really tough, right? Like it's kind of brutal, or I don't know.
I mean, I definitely feel like it. Yeah, it's just like.
What's your take on it?
Like you're watching someone. You're watching someone basically kind of being strangled.
Yeah.
The whole movie, like it's just like a terrible thing, and it's just it doesn't let up.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse, and you're watching just the devolution of like a society and the melting away of any social norms.
Yeah.
In favor of safety.
Yep.
Which is very American.
Peace, yeah.
And it also feels like a uniquely like international perspective on America, because I think our international presence is the most hypocritical of everything.
Sure, yeah.
You know, we stand for these things, but we
also
act a much different way.
Yeah.
And we present ourselves as one thing.
Classic American absurdism.
Yeah. And so I think I was really, that part of it kind of got to me. I was like, oh, wow, that's very interesting. It definitely feels very American and real.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the ending?
Oh, man. I'm actually...
Or specifically the massacre.
Yeah. Yeah, what about it? I mean, it felt absurd in a lot of ways. Like, it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. I don't know. It just felt... I have a hard time pulling anything other than...
Whatever.
It just was what it was, and I can pull things out of it, and it, you know, it feels like... it almost feels like a Beauty and the Beast style thing, where it's like, you don't know who I am deep down, and you're treating me a certain way, and now I'm going to punish you for having treated me that way. Which I don't know if you get the Beauty and the Beast reference, but that's how the Beast becomes the Beast. Is he basically a beggar comes to the door?
I see.
and disregards her and is like, "You are a beggar. I will never deal with you." And then she curses him.
Sure.
And this had some of that to it, which is just like, right there at the end of like, all right, I'm just gonna.
You don't think it was justified?
What, killing all of them? Oh no, absolutely not. But I mean, I understand where it's coming from. I don't think massacring a whole town, though, is in my book as a justified thing. But hey,
within story and theme, I guess.
Yeah.
Or what do you think? I guess how it relates to that for you, or I don't know. I'm just whatever.
Yeah. You're whiling around. Well, I'm also really curious on what you think of the ending. Do you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's a take. To me, it's like, I don't know if he's ever really going for, oh yeah, this is how it realistically happened. I feel like he's imbuing so much of the story with his perspective on America and certain values and philosophies and stuff. To me, I feel like that the whole movie is very nihilistic. I just feel like it's such a negative viewpoint of America, like pure hatred of everything, right? Because to me, it feels like just a critique in general. Like, I don't think it's saying one thing on either side of the spectrum. You know what I mean? It feels very like, that's what I mean by scathing. Yeah, it just feels like so hot, like like steaming, and just like my overall reaction to the majority of the movie is just like, man, this feels gross, and like, I don't know why you would ever want to make a movie like this, sort of a deal. And that's generally Lars von Trier.
Oh yeah, I was about to say
vibe. Anyways,
you say yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, to me, it just feels a lot of the times like unreasonable or like like no point to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then to me, the ending makes sense. Like to me, there is no other ending to this movie because that was it feels like the message, right? Is like, you could be nice to, I don't know. Yeah. You can be nice and like try to be, with like the liberal mind, like appeasing or whatever and have like a heart, but like that just opens doors for
more people to be
for these things, for like exploitation and mistreatment, and like you said, as soon as you make a compromise, you just set a precedent to be taken advantage of. In this situation, right? And I feel like that conversation between her and her father at the end is like this so black and white, or just like obvious. Here's the message of the movie, sort of a thing. And so the massacre is just like getting it over with, I guess, right? Like in a realistic movie, that scene wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that, like, maybe in a genre film it happens, but I don't know if in a search for realism that would occur. But I feel like within the context of the story and this place, I feel like it had to go there. It's like Greek tragedy level stuff, like Deus Ex Machina, where like something just has to come down and like burn the village, for stealing fire from the gods, so to say. It's like these people, this was like a test of God for these people, and they failed. Yeah. And so ultimately, like, because she has the power to, she can enact this sort of thing. Yeah, my long-winded thing.
No, I think we're on the same page. Like, that's kind of how it feels. It feels like a punishment for, being piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
And that, it's interesting to make a movie about that.
I mean, that's the Lars von Trier thing, right?
Lars von Trier promise. You'll get a movie that you'll question, why?
Yeah.
Why? Did you what?
This is your idea?
Really?
Yeah.
You went there?
And then to apply this to slavery is just like crazy.
Are you talking about the next one?
Yeah.
I'll be curious just like what the depth of that is. Willem Dafoe is in it.
I mean, I'm sure.
Interested?
I'm sure it's great in movie. But obviously, whatever,
Yeah.
And made before like the heavy polarized like political thing happening too.
Yeah.
It's like it's super interesting to me as well. Like developments of these sorts of things.
Different era.
Yeah, very different era.
Yeah. Especially coming from someone who's not American.
Yeah. What do you think about like the chapters?
I love chapters.
Yeah,
I'm all about chapters.
And very meta.
Yeah.
These ones.
Yeah.
Like mentioning the
basically
story.
mentioning what is going to happen. Which I don't know. Those things are really cool. Obviously, very Vivre sa vie.
Yeah.
Those also are fairly long, like kind of chapter names and things like that. Which I think is like, that's an interesting way to do it versus like a Quentin Tarantino style, like boom.
Right.
Which I like his too. I like breaking things up into those things.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan. I love it.
Yeah. Another great Brechtian. That's a Brechtian thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We need a sound effect when a Brechtian thing is mentioned. On Brecht. Take a shot whenever Brecht is mentioned.
Okay, very drunk around me.
Yeah.
I had something else. Oh, Dogma and Mumblecore. I could see like similarities between this movie and like Mumblecore in aesthetics and acting and like certain editing stuff. Like
it throws away so much stuff.
Right.
Like that feels like a very Mumblecore thing to do. It's like it does not matter, even though it's it's super intentional in this one, where mostly it's a cost reason in the other ones.
For sure.
But still has the same effect, which is like, all right, the most important thing is this conversation, these characters and everything like that.
Yeah, like if we believe it, you believe it kind of mentality.
Yeah. It's a fucking movie.
Yeah. Especially with like not being a set and everything, it's like even suspension of belief is really
which I think is just like I can't get the form is just such a it's such a unique and cool way to do things.
Yeah, it's great. Super innovative. Yeah. He's an interesting mind.
Yeah. Very, very, very interesting. And from what I'm reading, it also feels like it actually, a lot of people
like it.
Like it's on a lot of 100 greatest motion pictures in the 2000s and things like that. So
I mean, formally,
it seems like it does get a little love.
Yeah.
A lot of love.
Formally, it's hard to argue against it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And it does interesting things in terms of examining American culture and ideology. Yeah. I keep saying that, but I just like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously with Robert Altman and stuff like that. I just like things that criticize America. Yeah.
So you enjoyed Dogville for the most part.
I didn't have an enjoyable experience.
Mm-hmm. I guess maybe that was the wrong word for me to choose, but I'll continue.
I like the form. I don't know. I don't really agree with his message. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I forget you're America pilled.
Yeah,
You're very America pilled.
I mean, I'm okay. So, yeah. This will whatever. I feel like philosophically, at an ideological level, I think I consider myself more absurdist, and I feel like this is very nihilistic, and I don't agree a lot of times with nihilism.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't hold it in my heart in that way, and a lot of this movie felt gross to me, in the way they treat people and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I get, it's hard for me to balance it, even though I don't know, it's weird because I was trying to think why do I like funny games, but feel weird about liking this movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's
those
open-ended
definitely
question in terms of I
was going to say those feel very similar to me.
Yeah,
funny
right?
games in this, of just oh god. Obviously, I think funny games is something. I mean, it's a work of art. That's, and not to say this isn't, but that's
it feels
Jesus
elevated
Christ.
something, right?
Yeah.
It has access to something else.
Yeah.
Whereas this just feels gross for the sake of being gross. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think once you start, I think when sexuality is pulled into films, and then there's rape and there's sexual assault, and it's kind of just kind of a part of the scenery and the dressing.
Yeah.
There is something that just feels a little more if in funny games that was kind of happening,
right?
It would be a very different movie.
It's hinted at, but it's never there.
Yeah, this movie actually goes there, and that's also the Lars von Trier promise.
And it I can okay, I get that. I could understand the Stellan Skarsgård one, but then the other in the Apple truck, I'm just this didn't need to be in the movie for me to get the message. You know what I mean? I feel taking that out and just leaving it with the what's his name? The other guy, Bettany guy.
Oh, Paul Bettany, yeah.
Yeah, if that was the last kind of sexual,
because he also had sexually assaulted her, yeah.
And if that had been the closing one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In terms of mechanism of
times.
stories, it just felt extraneous at certain points.
Yeah,
that's what was gross to me. It's not so much the inclusion of it as much as how you apply it within the story, and is it reasonable? Is it just at a certain point you have to consider how fucked up this thing is in terms of making the movie too, in terms of how it I feel going through that shit has an effect on people's psyche too,
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
No. Are you interested to watch any more of his films?
No. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if it comes out. The Idiots seems cool because it's Dogma. It's number 2 or something.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the novelty stuff, but I don't know if I'm I really attached to his films. I think from just I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, if Lars von Trier ain't your thing, he ain't your thing.
I mean,
and I don't think forcing yourself to eat it is going to feel very good.
And I don't want to feel, I don't want to be like I'm a prude to these sort of things either, because I do like fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
Not to brag, but
yeah,
like,
no. I mean,
I don't want that to be the reason for why I don't like his stuff. I just feel like the way he makes his movies and the way he applies his ideology is just weird to me. And so yeah, that's
and I genuinely think you would really dislike Antichrist. Yeah. Like really, if I were to pick a movie that Kevin would hate, that would be the movie for sure.
Why?
For all the things you mentioned, it has these really like kind of like gross like sexual undertones in it that feel very nihilistic. The whole movie does.
Sure.
It also delves into horror, which I know you're not all that you don't vibe too much with that.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like in some ways just feels like needlessly violent, gory. It's a fairly small thing.
Yeah.
But it also, I don't know. It's just, it's so cold of a movie. It's so cold.
Yeah. I just don't like that.
Yeah.
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 It feels weird. Like, so it is. Funny Games just feels like it has a purpose for all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Funny Games is, very different.
Yeah.
And you can definitely feel it.
Like more playful, maybe warm, I would even
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing to say, but you're not wrong.
At least compared to Lars von Trier. Yeah, it's like
it's awful. Funny Games is awful.
A little more like screwball-y.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, now we might have to close this out relatively soon because now you're just going crazy.
I wanted to hold you under a microscope.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that before. I'm terrified.
So, I listen to the podcast episodes.
Yes.
A lot. Like I listen back to it pretty frequently after they've been recorded just because like I love listening to these conversations, but also for business reasons. And so I kind of have I'm starting to gain some understanding of you as a person, Ryan.
Uh-oh.
And I feel like I just want to probe you a little and see how you feel about my findings.
Okay. Oh God. All right, let's do it.
Because I feel like I don't know how I feel like you wouldn't identify with this take on you. Okay. So I'm curious.
Yeah. Lay it on me.
See how much how
close it is. How close it hits to home, or what my perspective on it is.
Because I feel like you're a little bit of a nihilist.
I would say so.
Is that accurate to you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there is a, unhappy endings aren't so bad in my opinion.
Sure.
And I think if we're talking about my perspective on the world, I mean, there's definitely like a this feeling of just utmost despair at almost everything. And that doesn't mean I haven't lost hope, because I also feel like if you can imagine it, it can be done. Yeah. But there's also plenty of people imagining terrible things.
Sure, yeah.
And those are definitely being done.
Yeah.
I'm nihilistic in my views of a lot of things. And I can definitely really appreciate a nihilistic perspective too.
Yeah, sure.
I will say, and for me, like, I do enjoy Lars von Trier films, even though I think they're rotten. Yeah. In a lot of ways. But there is just something, and maybe it was also because another really formative film for me was Melancholia, that it's kind of embedded in my DNA. He's one of probably 5 or 6 directors that was there at the beginning.
Sure, yeah. Makes sense.
Is there any other findings that you had?
That wasn't the main one.
The main one?
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think that I feel that way.
Sure.
And I certainly, like, my view on even America is much more nihilistic than you.
Yeah.
And I have a rotten view of it. And that's That's just the way it is.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, it's the way as Bruce Almighty would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like every time conversations go to like a certain conclusion, you always end it on like,
I know exactly
well,
what you mean.
nothing even really matters, so what's even the point? Like, it's some variation of that point that's like always the end point for you. I feel like
it is a punctuation I realize that I do sometimes.
It's
like
so funny.
Yeah, it's like, especially when like talking about the world and like throwing things back at that.
Just like trying to define anything.
Yeah.
You're like, well, like what's like, you either try to like just destroy it into oblivion, like try to break open the behind the scenes, or like try to over understand it to some extent, or you just like say, well, we have no idea what it actually is, and just kind of throw it up in the air.
Well, there you go. It's one or the other.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like just let it go sort of thing. Yeah, which I think is funny. You're consistent is all.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's all I can be, which means that's okay.
It's great. And so yeah, I thought it was funny. I was like, kind of came on to this. I was like, I feel like Ryan just like, is this sort of philosophical standpoint.
Yeah, I definitely do, and I think it'll be interesting as how it grows doing this, because I think we're both interesting foils
for sure
on each other's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it makes for some really interesting
conversation.
What the greatest part is, we both love movies.
Yeah,
and that's undeniable.
That's the core.
And that's the core.
Right. No, it's great, and it explains why we have such like strong opinions on certain movies at certain points, because it's like just completely different viewpoints. But also, you know, absurdism and nihilism are very like, they're coming from the same point. They're just aiming at like different things. I feel yeah. So that was my bit with Dogville.
Nice.
And just like trying to read you as a person.
Interesting that this is also going to be Dogville is also a part of a trilogy.
Yeah, the USA. I feel like it wasn't finished because Manderley.
And projected to be completed with
another movie,
whatever the other one. With Washington, but maybe that's, who knows when that's going to come out. But yeah, it's funny. It's called the USA Land of Opportunities trilogy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I'm interested
Land of
in
Opportunities.
I'm interested in seeing Manderley.
Oh, I'm definitely interested in seeing Manderley.
Yeah. That could be fun.
Yeah. So then, we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. Watch a two film trilogy.
Yeah. See what went right, what went wrong.
Yeah.
Why'd you do it, Lars?
America.
Why'd you do it?
Yeah. I think it is interesting. Maybe this is a different topic, but European directors making films about America.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've got, obviously, the easiest one to pick out is like Sergio Leone.
Oh.
Like, sort of like that.
Sure.
Like the American West.
Sure.
And idolizing that.
Sure.
Is a very, like, unique, interesting thing.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we did with the international westerns. It's just kind of like taking America and using that as a genre almost.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I was thinking 12 Years a Slave too.
Oh yeah, man, I totally forget, because that just feels so American.
Right.
It's
that's
good.
Kind of what I mean.
No,
yeah. It's like, why aren't, general blanket statement, I'm not like this isn't happening, but why aren't American directors making American movies?
So, I mean, I think it's more, what I would say to that is, it's more America is the place, and the gravitational pull is so strong that you get a lot of people wanting to make movies about America. Like, I think that, I mean, because I don't know how many American directors are making movies about other places. Like, that's a number. I mean,
True.
we're just pulling stuff out of our ass here.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of Hollywood stuff is like international now.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
in a way, I don't know.
Yeah.
Broad. We're
really
like
broad.
Blanket shit.
Yeah, and it sucks that, like, when I think broad, I think Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously like,
that's
all over the place.
Yeah. That's like an international thing. Yeah.
But that's almost
and a blue
all
screen.
American directors
Yeah, Russo.
I really don't think there's many outsiders.
Taika.
Yeah, Taika. You're right.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe a European guy that we're like looking over.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who directed the Incredible Hulk.
Ang Lee.
Who knows, huh?
Ang Lee.
Not that one. The good one? I'm talking about the Ang Lee one.
Yeah. That's international.
Is it?
Well, Ang Lee. I don't know.
You're Kevin's melting.
Yeah.
Dogville, Lars von Trier, Manderley is next.
Oh yeah, on the horizon.
And yeah.
America. Shout out America.
Land of Opportunities.
Yeah.
Trilogy.
Let me make the third one, Lars.
It'll be a lot happier.
No, well, I mean maybe. Depends on who you are.
Yeah.
I feel like I can be depressing to some people.
I think you're fine.
I don't know. I'm not in a degrading.
No, of course not. Yeah. Well, right on. I think we just Dogvilled ourselves.
Out of Dogville.
Oh, see you next time. That's a wrap. Wind, Reel, and Print is a podcast by Salad Brain Productions. You can find us online on Instagram at Wind, Reel, and Print Pod. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. And please, if you like the show, leave a rating and review. We'll see you next time.